Hi, hello. Hello, hi. Hi. Hi, hello. And what is up, gamers? Hi, everybody. Welcome in. Happy Thursday, everybody. It's nice to be back. It's nice to be present. I have some hamsters in progress for y'all. I hope you like them. I have some eraser shavings on the page, because I did a lot of erasing to arrive at these hamster shapes. Anyways, I haven't fully drawn in their outfits or the background, but I figure we can kind of workshop these things together, and that's fine. I hope that's okay. Anyways, I hope you're all well. Sorry I wasn't here at the top of the week. It had been planned for quite... This is like the third week in a row where I've only streamed twice, to my great sadness. One of them was for a medical appointment, and then the subsequent one was just because the weather was way too hot to actually be able to stream. And then this week we had long since planned ahead that we were going to be away on Monday, so unfortunately things just kind of shook out that way. I am really sorry, but I'm happy to be back. I'm happy to be here. Turner, thank you very much for the lurk. I hope you're having a lovely, lovely lurk, and hello to everyone else as well. Hi. Historians will assert that these two must have been very, very good friends. Very good friends. Neither ever married, and they did live together for their entire lives. So, clearly, the very best of friends. Anyways, what do I have to report upon? Ooh, I had some films developed today. And I was talking about this with... Well, there was one film that I really do not like the results that I got from it. It was... So, I'm pretty sure, if memory serves, this one was rated at an ISO of 200. And generally, if something's rated at an ISO of 200, and it is... So, for those who don't know, the ISO number on film, for like shooting on film cameras, and I think the principle of it has kind of been carried over into digital as well. The higher the number, the faster the film is, which basically means you can shoot at a faster shutter speed, aka how long the film frame is exposed for, normally in fractions of a second, right? The higher the number, the faster the film, which means you can shoot faster exposures in lower light conditions, right? So like a fairly you're probably taking most of your photos in the daytime kind of film would be something like 200. 400 is kind of an all-rounder. It's fairly forgiving in, both like bright daylight and also shooting like indoors or sort of getting into lower light conditions, maybe later on in the day, that kind of thing. 200 is a pretty good daylight film though. This freaking film. So I shot it at the ISO number that it was rated as, and everything has come out, like, not everything, but like so much of the roll has come out really grainy and underexposed. Like I ought to have been exposing, using slower shutter speeds to shoot these to get it to not be so grainy and underexposed. I don't know, but I hate the way it looks. It's so bad. 0 out of 10, do not recommend. In case anyone's wondering, it was color 92 from Lomo. Bad. Will not shoot again. Sucked, frankly. Oh no. So yeah, that's a thing that happened. So I am a little bit sad and a little bit disappointed about that. But, to be honest, I also had a single-use camera that I had developed that I had shot on a couple of, like, successive, sort of holidays and jolly jaunts about here, there, and everywhere. Because when I went to Copenhagen, I had lost my camera on the bus to the airport, and yeah. So I didn't have a camera. So I, like, panicked and ended up buying 2 single-use cameras at the booths in the airport, which, oh my god, they were so expensive. So expensive. Worth it? I would say that yes. I would say that worth it. I think that, you know, like the first one was delightful. The first one was all pictures from Copenhagen, and then it sat at the bottom of my purse for a really long time, and I forgot it was in there I forgot it was in there for like a really long time. Oops. But it's I've tried. I made a concerted effort to remember it was in there, and I finally managed to finish it after 2 years of it just hanging out in the bottom of my purse. And you know, yeah. Um, I think the photos from the single-use camera are better than the photos I got from like my actual camera and that particular film. It was genuinely very disappointing. I don't really know what to make of that. It sucked. It sucked real bad. Which is really, I don't know, I think that's pretty sad, but so it goes, I guess. Anyways. So yeah, that was that. In if anybody wants to see how these films turned out, I can probably hunt them up, but for the moment I'm kind of hoping to just actually like sketch a bit. I am scrolling my phone trying to find a reference picture of these very hamsters. If anyone doesn't recognize these two, they've shown up a few times in my work. They don't have names yet, but Twitch user Sledge Callier and I were earlier sort of workshopping like Victorian sounding ladies' names for them, and we're getting there. We're getting there. I think possibly one of them might be a Millie, maybe an Agnes. I think I like Agnes. We'd considered Aggie, but I think Agnes is good. I don't know. Anyways, trying to think if there's anything else interesting that I did this week. Well, I was away for a couple of days. We didn't really do all that much particularly interesting while we were away, though. We just kind of dooted around. We're very tired. Slept in an air-conditioned hotel room, which, oh my god. I normally don't sleep well in hotels, but that was so nice. If you remember what the weather was like last week, which was extremely nasty, it was really, really nice to sleep in an air-conditioned hotel room on Monday night. I was like, oh, finally, I'm catching up on sleep. Q2 says, oh hey, it's my favorite Mastodon streamer, Sammy Kelch. Hi Q2s, welcome in, I hope you're well. You and Chad are on a walk with me now, enjoy being in my pocket. Thank you for keeping me in your pocket, I really appreciate that. Thank you. I hope you have a lovely walk. I'm going to take a sip of my beverage, which is chocolate milk, because I'm classy like that. I did not give I was out in the center of town earlier today. I did not give myself enough time when I got home to put on a cup of tea and put it on ice for stream, because it's still like hot and sunny. Well, it's like warm and sunny. I think it's like, I don't know, maybe 24, 25 degrees today, which is on the high end of being comfortable to me, I would say. But I still would rather have an iced beverage than a hot beverage, especially when the sun's out in this weather. So I've got a tea coming down to room temperature so I can put it on ice during the next break. Anyway. So for now, I'm just finishing a chocolate milk, which is very, very cool and delicious of me. Anyways, so this is their little cottage. This is their home. Here they are bicycling on a little bicycle journey from home. This is an art print you can get from me, by the way. I just launched a little update of my Shopee, in case anyone's curious. I'll stick a link in the chat. It's like a mini update. There's 2 prints and 3 stickers, so it's not a ton. But if any of them tickle your fancy, you can acquire them. One of them is in reference to a video I haven't published yet, but I'm hoping to film the last of maybe this weekend or early next week, so that hopefully will be out soon. And I do have a YouTube channel, by the way. If you want to see my stupid videos, you can watch them there. Anyways, I now have the arduous task of trying to figure out what this looks like from a different angle. Oh no, Why do I do this? Is it bagged milk, says Q2's? Yes, bagged milk. I am making a video about milk bags, everyone. That's my next video for y'all. I hope you enjoy it. I was really hoping to get it out by now, but I wanted to film the like most of it last week, and then it was too hot to film, and I'm too busy this week to film. So it's gonna end up being next week. I'm really sorry. But it should be out soon. I hope y'all like it. I had fun doing it. I am really sad that the company that I reached out to with a question never got back to me. That makes me feel bad. Even though I was literally expecting them to not get back to me, I still feel sad that they didn't. Is that stupid? Because, like, it feels a little stupid. Can you release it at the end of the month? I'm kind of busy this month. This is cute. Listen, I just honestly want to get it out so I can start working on the next one. You don't have to watch it. It's okay. Or you can watch it at your leisure. Like, it doesn't matter. Views don't matter for the algorithm for me, because no matter what I do, all of my content flops. So, like, it's fine. It will be there whenever you want to watch it. At least I can laugh about the fact that all of my content flops. It's probably for the best. Anyways, I'm having a sip it. Yum, yum, delicious. Okay. Now I'm trying to figure out what it was that I had a really solid feeling of, like, the composition for this, and I've completely forgotten how it was going to work or what it was going to be. Also, I just realized that I was missing something from the back end of stream, so just ignore me for a little second. Also, Coritz, thank you very much for the follow. Why did I not get a notification that there had been a new follower? So sorry to thank you for the follow so late, but thank you very much indeed for the follow. Welcome on in. What the heck is happening to my... There we go. Okay. Twitch messing around with things to do with channel points very rudely. Anyways, I bet they followed when they heard about the bag milk videos. This cute. Just okay, back into my pocket you go. Yay! Thank you so much. Oh man, it's really cold. It's really cozy. Oh man, it's really dark in here. My voice is all muffled because I'm inside a pocket, obviously. I'm not going to keep doing that for the rest of the stream because other people are watching and they'll probably find it deeply annoying. Anyway, I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. Why am I like this? Anywho, my point, and I'm sure I did have one. I need to figure out what I'm doing for the background of this piece, which I had kind of figured out and then I forgot. So we're gonna refigure it out together, I suppose. But I wanted to kind of take that little scene that we had previously and just kind of see a different side. Well, I don't know why I'm so bad at this, but if there's one thing... Wow, you really made me get my phone out of my pocket at the exact time when you started speaking normally. This is cute. Oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. I can go back in your pocket. It's okay. It's okay. It's very comfy in there. I like it. Don't worry about it. It's fine. It's fine. Oh my goodness. Okay. Okay, so I wanted to... This is something that trips me up when I'm... I don't know. I think it's just my brain works best with references. Like, I can draw things just from out of my head as well, and I do that fairly often, but my brain works best with references in certain contexts. Like, for instance, I've got these hills here, right? I've got these hills, and there's a little cottage up at the top of the hills with a little tree next to it and some shrubbies and what have you. My brain is not good at taking this image and kind of just, like, rotating it to try and figure out how the shapes work from a different angle. This is a problem that I always come up against when we are doing, like, a Hollow Knight Art Month situation, where I'm like, okay, I don't necessarily have to stick with drawing everything on the same 2D plane that the game environments exist on. I can draw these environments from different angles. You know, I can take the sort of at like an angle looking from up above down at Hornet. I can look at, you know, sort of what is the sideways view of this room. That I can't do it. I can't picture it. Like, I'm so bad. I tried to do it once, and it was my worst piece. Of not just that month, but every Hollow Knight art month I've done. It was the most poo-poo garbage piece I had done. I can't, like, if it only exists on a 2D plane for me, I cannot extrapolate what the other angles look like in a good way. It's it's very annoying. I don't know, my brain, if something exists like in 2D, or I've only seen it in 2D, my brain cannot render it in 3 dimensions apparently. Is there like a hyper specific name for this phenomenon? Because it's not that I can like it's not like I have like the full I have no mind's eye, like some people cannot conjure images in their mind. I can conjure images in my mind just fine. But I struggle to rotate scenes if I've only seen them from one static angle to try and figure out what they look like from any other angle. Breaks me. So that's where I am right now. Oh no. This is supposed to be a cozy art stream, and instead you're witnessing me having a tiny crisis. Oh, good. I think maybe what I'll do for starters is just get a little hill shape in there. We can't really see what we're kind of at the crest of the hill there, but then it kind of Sure, why not? Good enough. I don't think we can see the path on the other side or anything like that. But certainly, okay. So the cottage is still quite a distance away from us. We're a good ways down the hill here, but maybe we are a little bit closer than we were in the original piece, so it will be a little bit bigger. Okay. Thusly, perhaps. And you know, if it ain't perfect, that's fine. It's probably handmade, you know. I don't care. Anyway. But yeah. Anyways. Interesting things. I got to visit a station that I'd never been to before. This is so boring for like 90% of people. Probably more like 97 to 98% of people. But I got to visit a station I'd never been to before, and I really liked it. I thought it was nice. It's Tower Gateway in London. It was designed in the 80s. It feels like it was designed in the 80s, but like in a fun way. It also has a gift shop, but the first time we passed through it, the gift shop had just closed at midday. I assume it was closing at lunch, but also that one of the escalators, the escalator going down had just stopped working, so we had to take the lift. And the person who I think is also the person who like runs the shop had to go out and like look at what the heck is going on with the escalator. So the shop was closed, and I was sad about that. And then when we came back later that day and like passed through that station as just an interchange in our travels, it was closed again because it closes at 4:30, and we got there at 5. And I was so sad. I was like, no, I want to get stupid public transit merch. Are you kidding? That's my dream. Part of the reason I wanted to go specifically by a Tower Gateways that it had a shop. It was gutted. Like, will I cope? Most certainly yes. But was I still a little bit sad? Also yes. I love a good gift shop, you know? Let's see, it's kind of like you. It's kind of like you, but not quite. Hi, Adrian. Welcome in. Lovely to see you. Hello, hello. I hope you're well. I'm just popping a little rooftop onto this little cottage, and then deciding I didn't do a very good job. So I'm gonna redo it. Anywho. If the perspective is a little bit skewy, I cannot begin to express how much I don't mind. Like, it's fine. Also, at least some of this is going to get covered up by tree, so I'm not too mega concerned about it. You can see the little chimney poking out the other side. But yeah, so that was an exciting thing that happened to me. And, what else did I do? So, oh, I got to have gluten-free donuts. That was exciting. Exceptionally exciting for yours truly, because I do enjoy... I used to really enjoy, I think, the donut when it is well... The donut when it is well done really is one of the very best baked goods. A superlative baked good, in my estimation. It's hard to find gluten-free donuts. It's even harder to find good gluten-free donuts. But I did. And I really enjoyed it. It was just like a custard-filled donut. I think, I will say that, like, the dough, you can tell it's a little bit denser than standard donut dough. But to be honest, I think that's to be expected because it's gluten-free. I will say I went to this French gluten-free bakery as well, and y'all, she's overrated. She was absolutely overrated. I thought that the cinnamon roll was pretty good. I thought that the apple turnover was okay, but it had a weird back flavor to it that I couldn't identify, that I didn't think was as good. But we went there on the promise of they do sandwiches for lunch. And I just, a good, like, go out and have a sandwich for lunch is not really something that's often available to me as a non-wheat enjoyer these days. And y'all, there were no... Now, admittedly, we got there at about 1 p.m., so we might have just missed the sandwiches.
Attention.
But, like,
Twitch user
still. Anyway.
Shoppers.
Hi, Raiders. Welcome in. I was just ranting about sandwiches, but I'm going to stop. Toto, how was your stream? It's so good to see you. Welcome in. Hello, hello. Hi, everybody. Let me get a shout out for you in the chat. Hello also to Shrimply Mar. Welcome in. Toto, hello, hello. Toadmobile. Hi, Robbie Bear. Welcome in, friends. How are you doing? How are you doing? It's so lovely to see you. Welcome, welcome. Shrimply, thank you very much for the follow. Welcome in. And let me get a shout out for you, Toto, as well. How was your stream? What did you get up to today? It's so good to see you. Welcome, welcome. Lotus Engineer, hello. Those hamsters look like roommates. Oh my god, they're roommates! Oh my goodness, what does it mean? What could it mean? Historians will say that they were very, very good friends. Neither woman ever married, curiously. Huh, wonder why. Anyways, market prep, crochet commissions, little giveaway, all the good stuff. That does sound like very good stuff. And as always, as you may know, we are an art tax optional stream. So if there's anything that you would like to share in the chat, I would be very, very, very happy to do so. But if you just want to chill or just raid and run or whatever, that is also entirely fine. But if you do have anything to share, you're very welcome to whisper a link in my direction. I'll be very happy to share it with the class. But in the meantime, hello, friends. these are some hamsters who are in love. I haven't fully drawn their outfits on yet, so do forgive that they are in somewhat of a state of undress. That is temporary. They will eventually be in little outfits. But hi, if you're new here, my name is Twitch user Sammy Kelch. I'm a variety streamer. I do cozy art streams on Mondays and most Thursdays. I do cozy game streams on Fridays and every once in a while on a Thursday if I'm feeling extra crispy. And thank you so much for the follow, so that smiley sloth. Welcome on in. Hello, hello. Lotus Engineer says, and I quote, "Never married, but she wrote passionately about seeing the light of the world in her female hamster companion's eyes." Yes, exactly this. Exactly this. I think we have just about settled on names for them, but I'm not 100% yet. I think it was something along the lines of Millie and possibly Agnes. I like Agnes. I think that's a good Victorian hamster name. But anyways, if you're not familiar with me and my oeuvre, I do mostly watercolor paintings. I don't know where my paint palette's gone. Do mostly watercolor paintings. Here's some of the palette we'll be working with today. Very soft, sort of pastel-y shades, I think. Yeah, that's the kind of silly gubbins that I get up to. I've been exceptionally silly lately. Case in point, if I can get this to load, that'll be super cool. But honestly, at this point, who's to say? Because it doesn't like me very much, but I'll try. There we go. Okay, yay. Here's a recent entry. So for context, this is so embarrassing. I'm so sorry. In London, there was a public transit line that used to be known as the Gospel Oak to Barking line because it went between Gospel Oak and Barking stations. All of the overground stations had a rebrand and got given proper names a few years ago, but colloquially, because this one was the Gospel Oak to Barking line at the time, it was known amongst people who actually traveled on it as the Goblin for short, and so I had to do a painting of a goblin, riding the goblin, because I'm silly like that. BRB, I need to get lunch famished, says Rototo. Of course, my friend, of course, and let me get another shout out for you in the chat. Y'all, if you're not following Rototo, you should go do that, because, sorry. I cannot speak good. Sorry. I also apparently can't shout out while speaking. Because I can't type while speaking. Anyways, I have now effectively shouted out our lovely friend Rototo, who does absolutely just the loveliest, sweetest, most adorable and wonderful and good, super sweet crochet stuff you ever did see. It's so delightful, and I love it with my whole heart. And I have, oh, would you look at that? I have a lovely, lovely link to some lovely, lovely work. So let's go take a little look-see, shall we? If I can get it to load, please load. Hey! Oh, hi! Well, this is the heckin' cutest thing I've ever seen in my entire existence. Because it's Frog. And you know what we love on this stream? We love Frog. This froggy is so precious. I love them so much. It's so stinking cute. Like I said, if you like just genuinely absolutely delightful and adorable crochet gubbins, you need to be following Rototo, because look at him, so cute. Oh, look at their little face. I want to give him a cuddle. This is so cute. I'm giving him scritches. Squish, 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 squish. Okay, I've given enough scritches. That's quite enough of that. I don't know if you even know if you could see my mouse cursor giving scritches there, but I promise I was giving scritches. Probably sounds like I was absolutely just losing my mind. Which, honestly, also true. It's been a weird week for me, and I am Souse Toast! Sue Toast! Hello, welcome in. It's lovely to see you. Thank you so much for the follow. I hope you are having the loveliest of lovely Thursdays. I am having a pretty lovely Thursday. I went to the center of town earlier today. We had sushi for lunch, and I got a coffee, and I did some sketchy work on a commission. I don't know how much I can show because it's It's not, I haven't gotten sketch approval from the commissioner yet because I'm just beginning it, but here's a tiny here's a tiny sneak peek preview, which should be coming soon to my social media channels if I'm able to get it done. I realized I had made this house too long, so I have shortened it a smidge. Though with that being said, some of this is going to be covered up by tree anyways, because there's a big tree in the side garden here. So oops. I'm also going to stick in one of these little hexagonal windows because I think they're real cute, for their little sort of like loft area up top. I don't think it's like I don't think it's quite a full second floor, but they definitely got a bit of a loft situation up there. Katie, hello, hello, welcome in. Welcome. I am just I'm just wrapping up the draw in the windows phase of this little cottage that they've got up here, and I'm gonna check out my reference. Basically what I've had to do is I've got this piece that I painted a couple of years ago, and I am trying to extrapolate what the other side of this house looks like and the hill over there. So that's what's happening right now, is me just trying to figure out sort of my own artwork. But there's this tree just there, so that tree on this side is kind of just in the front of this bit of the house. So it's actually like here. And I'm just going to pop in some little bits of branch going up in there. Okay, cool. And then we will fill in the foliage when we get there. Anyways, I hope you're all well. I'm so sorry about this. The camera casts a shadow, and it's really frustrating, and I don't know how to get rid of it. So I apologize for that as well. But in a minute, I think we might actually be able to start adding some like color and stuff to this. I think I want to pop some more. There's a little shrub here, so I will put a shrub there, and then maybe just a shrub kind of just in front here. Good. Okay. I'm trying to decide whether or not I want to add like a stone fence of some kind. I think that could be quite cute. Hello, Rex. Welcome in. How are you doing? It's lovely to see you. Also, congratulations on the noms, Rototo. I hope they are delicious. Unlurk, unlunchtime, unrentoto. Heck! Hello. I hope you also had a nice lunch, Rex. I had some sushi. I had some sushi with avocado. I had some kappamaki, which is my favorite. That's just rice and cucumber wrapped in seaweed. And it's the best. It's the cheapest one, and it's the best one. Fight me. Don't fight me. I'm extremely gentle. I'm so curious why the shadow on the paper is pixelated. I think it must be because of the way that my light is configured. Because my overhead light is basically it is a rectangle about the size of this. If you imagine that this had just like, I'm not going to count them up, but like just a grid of little lights all the way across it. So I think the little lights are casting little shadows in slightly different directions, and that's why you get this weird sort of diffused pixelated situation. I also just wish that shadow wasn't there, but I don't know how to get rid of it without turning my camera to a weird angle, or possibly having it punch me in the face, or having it be so far away that I'd have to zoom in the picture, and then the picture is worse quality. I had the other half of my sub from dinner last night because I didn't want to turn the oven on. That is so valid of you, Rex. That is so very valid. For anyone who isn't aware, I am Canadian. I don't live in Canada currently. I live in the United Kingdom. I intend to do so for the very rest of my days. But But I was born in Canada, and yesterday was Canada Day. Yay! But I was tired. Didn't have it in me to do anything like serious or thematic to celebrate. So instead I'm doing something to celebrate today, and by celebrate I mean I'm making boxed mac and cheese for dinner because that is a Canadian classic. However, I've got stories about it as well. We traded weather, says Rex. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. I wouldn't wish the weather that we had last week on anybody. Has it cooled any in Oxford recently? It is back down into the 20s this week, Katie, yes. Thank a goodness for that. Current forecast for Oxford today was sunny with a high of 25 degrees. Tomorrow is a mix of sun and clouds with a high of 27 degrees and a low of 12. Again, a mix of sun and clouds and a high of 27 on Saturday, then 27 again, just cloudy on Sunday. Monday back down to 26 and cloudy, 26 and cloudy again next Tuesday. Next Wednesday is a sunny and cloudy and again 26. So it's kind of hovering around there, and I think it goes up a little bit towards the end of next week. Which I am, once again, not looking forward to. You know, the worst part about it, the worst part is that because our house is so good at insulating and keeping the heat in, that it takes several days for the heat that sinks in when we have multiple 30 plus days to actually be aired back out. Also, it doesn't help that most of our windows only open this much. So we can't even get a full window pane of like fresh air blowing through. We can open the window. This is the closed window. This is the opened window. We get like a gap. It's not great. So the house stays stuffy and uncomfortable compared to outside, unless you happen to be right next to a window, which I am in the studio. So that's all right. But like we were away for 2 days of mild, you know, sort of low to mid 20s weather, and we came home and it was still gross and sweaty and stuffy and nasty inside the house. Have you tried Rock? They are good at opening windows, says Rex. Oh my god, why didn't I think of that? That is so smart. You are really smart, for real. I should have done... Aw, jeez. Aw, jeez. Somebody is very clever little so-and-so. Thank you, Rex. Excellent suggestion right there. My goodness. Okie dokie. What are some other things that I would want to put near their little cottage? I'm wondering if they should maybe have like just a little one of these bad boys. With some little laundries hanging off them. Because why? Because it's fun. Little shift. There we go. Maybe even drying a little pair of pantaloons. There we go. Yay! Open is an interesting verb to use in this context, says Rototo. Only downside is that it's a rather permanent opening. Yeah, I think that might be an issue, like, considering the fact that it does also rain in this country, unfortunately. You know, maybe I'm gonna give this some thought and kind of hold fire on acting on it just for the moment. You know, I'm gonna weigh the pros and cons, I think. Anyways, Rex, thank you very much for a 7-stream steak. I really appreciate it. Please enjoy your 7 steaks. I hope that they are delicious and nutritious, and I hope that they come with chips if you like chips. I like chips. I am not having chips. I did have chips earlier this week, or I guess technically fries. But I don't know. If I eat fries in the UK, I call them chips. Is that inaccurate? Katie says, I've got 33C with a real feel of 40. No, that's mean. I do think, I don't know about y'all, but I do feel like the feels like of the weather forecast is so much more important than the number itself, because it's like if you tell me it's 14 degrees, I'm like, okay, Do I need to wear a cardigan or not? And that entirely depends on, like, what's the wind speed and what is the feels like. Because, you know, like, if the humidity is doing something, if it's raining, if it's super windy, I'm probably going to need a cardigan. But if it's, like, sunny and it's relatively still, I'm probably not. Hence I'm staying indoors. Yes, absolutely. If you are in a location this week where it is hotter than the depths of hell, please, 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 please make sure that you drink plenty of fluids. And whilst you are drinking plenty of fluids, also make sure that you're getting some, like, salt and minerals in there. Bit of sports drink if you can stand it and it's available. Other than that, just, like, have a salty snack alongside, because when you are sweating you are also losing salt, and you do need some of that in order to live. Personally, I am currently drinking the Supergirl edition of my millennial adult soda. Oh yeah, you know, they finally listened to me. They finally listened to me, and as much as I've been complaining for years that there aren't, like, soft drinks that are either, like, that don't have sweeteners added to them, but also aren't, like, insanely sugar. Camera, what are you doing? No, stop it, camera. Why does it do that? I don't know. But does it taste like Supergirl? If she tastes like berries and cherries, then yes. But it's one of those like adult sodas that I say adult soda not because it has alcohol or anything added to it, but because it's low in sugar, it does not contain sweeteners, and it also contains, like, trying to see where it says 1.8, that's per 100 grams. So what's 1.8 times 3.3? It has about 6 to 7 grams of fiber in a can of soda. So, delicious. That's what I mean when I say adult soda. I mean, this soda is designed for 40-year-olds. Advent says a not safe for work soda. Sadly, the boring kind of adult, not the spicy kind of adult. Rex says 37 to 40 heat index all week, should cool down Saturday, but I have AC. Good. Glad to hear it. Stay safe. Advent says, I'm American and I'm thankful that our houses were made with heat in mind. And Rototo says, my house was made in 1908. Not sure they had much in mind. Oh no. I hope that you are comfortable. We have cooling methods, thankfully. I'm very glad to hear it. Good. Adult soda equals healthy soda. Yes, exactly, yes. But this one in particular, now, I'm not sponsored by Hip Hop, but I would consider it in as much as they don't put stevia in it. I hate when I can taste stevia and things. I think it's bad. I think it tastes not good. But then again, I don't like the taste of any sweeteners. So I would rather it just not be as sweet. And this is not as sweet, and I'm fine with that. It's become the, it is a bit of a running goof between my moderator / spouse and myself that, not too sweet is the middle-aged catchphrase. That I will have, like, a sweet treat of some kind or a beverage, and my praise of it will be that it's not too sweet. Oh, it's become a cliche. It's really embarrassing. I sound like my mother. Which is not inherently a bad thing. I love my mother. I think she's wonderful. She's a remarkable, lovely, kind, caring, creative, thoughtful individual. And I love her very much. But I do not want to be her. That's the difference. I'll take monk fruit over stevia, to be honest, says Katie. You don't see monk fruit very often in the UK. I do wonder if it's one of those things where it's just not as available here because market-wise there are other alternatives that we prefer, or if it's one of those things because it's a relatively new sweetener, it just hasn't actually had approval for sale here. I'm honestly not sure. Rex says food / drink that replaces sugar with artificial sweeteners shouldn't be allowed to say sugar-free. I have thoughts on that too, Rex. I see, like, when I hear no added sugar, I assume that means, or I used to assume when it said no added sugar, it meant this isn't going to be as sweet. Like, if a yogurt says no added sugar, but it's like strawberry yogurt, I'm like, okay, cool, it's just strawberries and yogurt. That sounds really good. I would like that. And then it turns out that there's no added sugar, but it's like chock full of sucralose and Ace K, and it tastes sweeter than regular yogurt that has sugar in it. I'm like, no. And my beef with yogurt in particular is that I would quite like yogurt that has fruit in it, but that doesn't have sugar added to it, so it's not as sweet, because I like my yogurt to be tangy. And before you say, but Sammy, you can just buy natural yogurt and add your own fruit to it. Well, I sure can. But here's the problem with that. It costs me more money to do that because I have to buy the yogurt and the fruit flavored yogurt costs the same amount of money as the natural yogurt. So if I want to have yogurt that is just yogurt and fruit with no added sugar and no added artificial sweetener, it costs me more money, and I don't think that's fair. Because I'm a cheapskate and everything's getting really expensive in this country and it's making me stressed. Anyways. Oh no, Rototo says artificial sweeteners are like my biggest migraine trigger too. I'm so sorry. That is the pits. That is the pits. And it feels like I don't know how it is where you are. But it definitely feels like they've done more to like sneak them into a lot of foods here in the UK because sugar is very demonized. And you know what? That's fair. Lots of things have more sugar in them than they need. Lots of things have too much sugar in them. And certainly there are a lot of people who should be avoidant of added sugars wherever possible, you know, especially if, say, your blood sugar is mildly raised. Hi, I'm middle-aged. But, I was at a sushi restaurant today, and the packet of pickled ginger that it came with had artificial sweetener added to it. No! Just pickle my ginger. It doesn't need sucralose. What the nuts? I was so annoyed. Normally I really like the pickled ginger with my sushi. I didn't eat it this time because, ew. Not cool. Anyways, Rex says I had some Lipton peach tea bags that said sugar-free, and I grabbed it because I drink my tea straight. Fair enough, like black coffee, but tea, yeah, it was painfully sweet at 6 a.m. because I was expecting peachy green tea. They put sweetener in your peach tea bag? That's diabolical. No, like, I would expect to, like, sweeten I don't want my tea bag to be sweet. I want to sweeten it to taste, which in many cases is no sweet. That's so weird. It's like, I drink peppermint tea quite a lot of the time. I don't want that sweetened. Ew. Anyways, so that's nasty. It's ad break time, and I don't want you to miss anything, so we're gonna have a little break. I will be back very, very shortly. Enjoy the BRB screen. BRB, everybody. Hello, everyone. I return. Thank you so much for sticking around. It's lovely to be back. Hello, hello. Advent, thank you very much for the hydrate. I will indeed take a sip of my boring adult soda. Delicious. Tastes like regularity. Rototo is headed out for a swim. Bye, everyone. Thank you so much again for the raid, and thank you for hanging out. And I hope you have a lovely swim. That sounds so nice. That sounds so nice. While we were on break, I was trying to look up what, I was trying to just out of curiosity look up the stats on the boxed mac and cheese that I'm having for dinner tonight. So fancy. I'm such a gourmet cook. Listen, boxed mac and cheese is very nostalgic for me. But it took me to the website of said, company that makes it. And y'all, it said servings per container 71. So I'm assuming that a serving is like one piece of macaroni, which seems fake, but sure. Also, it's about 360 calories for one piece of macaroni. I think I think their website might be a little bit borked. How tiny a serving are they talking, says Katie. I don't know. I feel like something's gone a little bit wrong there, but hey, you know, what do I know? Maybe that's correct. Who's to say? Do I want to do a tiny little stone? I do kind of want to do a tiny little stone fence, but I'm not sure in what direction to do a tiny little stone. Maybe if I do a tiny little stone fence kind of coming up from here and over like this away. But then no, because that creates a weird like break in the painting, I think, if I put a stone fence going that way. So maybe we just don't need a stone fence in this piece. I just really like getting to paint in little stone fences. I think it's really cute. Maybe we just don't need one in this piece. I don't know. No, maybe we just don't need one. Okay, I'm gonna not do that. I'm gonna not worry about it. I'm gonna maybe allege that there is like another hill sort of off in the distance going this way, just because I think it's nice to have more hills. I think hills are fun and cute. But yeah, I was very confused by 71 servings in a box. Like, are you kidding? Okay, I guess I'm eating 35 and a half servings of boxed mac and cheese tonight. Anyways, for anyone who is Canadian or Canadian adjacent and thinking that, oh man, I want to try boxed mac and cheese, but I can't eat wheat. Well, I do not recommend getting if you're familiar with the Canadian flavor of Kraft Dinner boxed mac and cheese, I would not get the gluten-free Kraft Dinner boxed mac and cheese. And the reason that I say this is that I noticed from the ingredients list that I believe the sauce that's in the gluten-free Kraft Dinner boxed mac and cheese is the same kind of cheese sauce mix that is in the American Kraft Dinner boxed mac and cheese, which is not the same as the Canadian Kraft Dinner boxed mac and cheese, and it's worse. Having had the American version of Kraft Dinner by mistake, wow, you can taste that one of them is made with cheese and the other one is made with cheese-adjacent ingredients recombined together to approximate something that is akin to cheese but doesn't actually taste like it. I'm so sorry, America, you are not getting the good cheese sauce. It's like how Tic Tacs can say 0 grams of sugar because it's less than 1 gram per serving of a single Tic Tac. Yeah! I'm pretty sure there isn't 0 grams of sugar if you eat an entire box of Tic Tacs. And if you leave me alone with a box of Tic Tacs, what's likely to happen, do you think? Can you guess? Can you guess, chat? I feel like you maybe can. Yay! Well, now you can tell they're having a picnic. I'm not a big fan of Kraft, says Rex. I get Velveeta because it's got a liquid cheese. Interesting. I've never had Velveeta, I don't think. I got Annie's because it's rice pasta and I can eat it. So I hope that that's good. I hope. Anyways, I guess we'll soon find out. Anywho, I'm gonna give them a little picnic basket. My brother sent me a little gift, and one of the things in it was the smallest pack of Tic Tacs I've ever seen, says Rex. Is that 8 Tic Tacs? What? That's wild. I have so many questions. My biggest question is like how? Why? That is so teeny tiny. I kind of love that. I kind of love that, but that's also really, really wild. Like, seriously, why? Like, how? How? I'm trying to picture just how small an 8 Tic Tac thing of Tic Tacs would be, because that seems so tittle, and that honestly seems that's incredibly delightful to me. Um, as an enjoyer of small things, I find that incredibly wonderful. The whole container was about the size of a starburst. It was ridiculous, like that big. That's so cute. That is so cute. Oh man, I want one. That sounds absolutely precious. Um okay, so what kind of treats have these hamsters been enjoying, I wonder? Um First of all, first of all. Can I get they're wearing little hats cuz the sun's out. So obviously they've got to have their little straw hats on for the sunny weather. Fixed it. Oh, what have they been eating? I think how how symbolic can I get with the things they've been enjoying on their picnic? I could give them like I think I'm gonna stick like a couple of peaches into their picnic basket. Maybe a little flask of tea. A little leaf coming off of it because that's just so darn charming. A couple of peaches. And then maybe they've just got a nice little flask of tea. Actually, oh geez, I should look and see. I don't know. This is a commitment to this is a commitment level of like historical accuracy that I feel like is probably not necessary, but I'm gonna have to find out anyways. When was like the thermos flask invented, or something like a thermos, like that kind of vacuum flask insulated storage vessel? When was it? 1892. But would it have been commercially available to hold your tea at that point, or should I just give them I feel like that might be slightly too late. I might just give them like a glass bottle of lemonade or something in that case. Um, Something that I'm sure they would have actually had in the period. And I think perhaps a thermos flask of tea might be just a little bit too modern. Like it's on the fence, you know. Like if we were talking the early 1900s, I think we would have been okay, but we're talking the mid to late 1800s, so let's be inaccurate when it comes to our gay hamsters. Obviously. Lipton's Peach Paradise. I'm so sorry that it was sweet. That's unfortunate. I actually did have a really nice peach tea today. I was at y'all, I had the dream I had last night was it wasn't a bad dream actually. It was a wild ride of a dream though, for sure. So the dream that I had last night, I dreamt that I was in this beautiful old bookshop that had that had these beautiful, like, wood-carved walls and ceilings, like, ornate, sort of, like, dark-colored wood carving. You know the variety. I'm sure you're familiar. And it had this beautiful spiral staircase, and I was entranced by... First, I was entranced by, like, a book or two that I picked up, and I was like, oh, I really want to read this. I'm going to buy these books. I wish I could remember what the books were, either so that I could find them in real life if they exist, which I'm sure they don't because it was a dream, or write them myself. Write the book that came to you in a dream. But I don't remember what they were, so that's dead and gone, I suppose. But... So I got my nice camera out, and I was trying to take a photo of the spiral staircase, and I was intercepted by someone who in my dream I was friends with, but in real life is just someone that, like, I follow on social medias, and so that's awkward. But this acquaintance of mine from the internet was there with a bunch of friends, and it was like, oh, these are my friends, and then they were all going to see, like, a talk that was being given to do with, like, trains, and I was like, oh, well, if it's a train talk, obviously I'm going to need to come with you. So I go with them to this talk about trains. But it's getting really late. Like, it starts at 8, and I need to have been home by now, and my moderator / spouse is gonna start wondering where I am. And there was no good opportunity for me to leave, because there's this talk going on at the front of this, like, lecture theater, but additionally, one of the people sitting next to me kept, like, wanting to talk to me about stuff. They were like, yeah, so I do, like, cosplay and that kind of thing. Let me just, hold on, let me find just give me a sec, and I'll just find it. And they're scrolling through their photos for absolutely ever trying to find a picture of, like, this cosplay that they did that they wanted to show me, and I'm just like, I need to leave. I have to have left, like, 2 hours ago. It's getting super late. There's no signal in here for me to, like, call my person and let them know that I'm on my way, and I was so stressed because I just wanted to get out of there, but I couldn't. There wasn't a good opportunity for me to say, like, oh, I'm really sorry, I gotta run, bye, and or just, like, Irish goodbye my way out of there. I was just stuck, and it was that part was so annoying. Like, really annoying. I hate those kinds of situations. I'm not good at navigating those kinds of situations. But yeah, Rex says, tea bags don't need as in-depth nutrition facts, so I looked it up, and they claim on their website no sugar or sweeteners. Now I'm just confused. That's so weird. That's so weird. I wonder if I've had teas where I'll be like, this has a really cloying back note for some reason. Then I'll look, and one of the ingredients is either it'll be licorice root or stevia leaf. Is just an ingredient in the tea, presumably to give it, like, a sweet taste without adding sugar to it. I don't like either of these things in my tea, and I actively try and avoid teas that include them. So, yeah, oh no. But that's very confusing, Rex. But also, I'm just really sorry that your tea was bad. That's really disappointing. I'm so sorry. Okay. I want to give them some additional gubbins that they've been snacking on, so I think I'm just going to pop in a little. They're having some cake. Which, of course, is a classic Victoria sponge. It does have licorice root. I bet that's it, Rex. I bet that's it. Because in my experience, licorice root, for me anyways, if you love the taste of licorice, then you will love when tea has licorice root in it, I'm sure. But when tea has licorice root in it, for me, it's like, ruins it. It just makes it taste weirdly sweet, and I don't like that. It's like, actually, licorice is a funny thing. If you extracted the flavor of licorice without and somehow made it not sweet, I might like it okay. Because I've had salty licorice, and I actually really like or at least I don't dislike the front end of a salty licorice. Like when it's just, hello, I'm salty and I taste of licorice. I'm like, yes, this is okay. But the salt dissipates fairly quickly and you get an end note that is that like super cloyingly sweet licorice flavor. And once it gets to that, I'm like, no, I'm out. I'm done. I'm out. This is bad now. Oh no. So yeah, a fun time to be sure. But fun stuff. Okay. So I'm sticking these two in some fun daytime outfits. Now, normally the kind of aesthetic that we're going for here is something along the lines of, you're gonna have like a reasonably high neckline, I would say. That's fairly of the era, and I'm gonna give her a little collar, and then she's gonna have just a little bow, just a little sort of cravat tied in the front, and then now I've stuck her in some little pantaloons because I feel like this little lady in particular is an enjoyer of the Victorian pantaloon situation. It's not a popular choice stylistically for most of the era, but I think she likes to dress a little bit more sort of mask adjacent when she can. It's still quite girly, but you know, for the period, it is slightly more mask, but definitely still quite girly. Okay. All right. So I've put her in some little pantaloons, and then a little puffy sleeved shirtwaist, and her lady here, I think I'm going to put in gonna give her a slightly ruffly collared top, but I'm actually going to give her sort of she's got a little like pinafore on over it, which I think is also quite a cute look. So that kind of comes up and then down like so. And it's also kind of cinched in at what constitutes the waist, but isn't particularly. And then the sort of pinafore portion of it is a little bit shorter. There we go. And you can see the skirt of her dress underneath. Oh my god, were these hamsters roommates? These hamsters were roommates. I know. Actually, you know what? I'm changing these pantaloons because I think what I actually want to do is to make them more like the sort of secret pants style bifurcated skirts also of the period, which I think is very, very cute. There we go. Okay. Okay, yeah. I think they're looking pretty. I think they're looking pretty. I think they look very cute, and I hope you like them too. I want to do something sort of with the front of this a little bit. Maybe she's got little pin tucks, I think, in the front detail of her little dress. And then maybe the sleeves actually kind of gather in here a little bit and then puff back out, which is also very cute. Okay, yay, they've got outfits. I love them with my whole heart, says Pigeon. Thank you so much, Pigeon. Also, hello, welcome in, and I hope you are well. Secret pants top tier, says Katie. I've got some linen set aside for making myself a pair of secret pants, and I'm very excited for it. Very excited indeed. There we go. I've also just roughed the foliage location onto my tree, so I can paint that in a bit. Yay! We're getting there. Hooray! But yeah, love some secret pants, says Pigeon. They're just so comfy. They're so comfy and so cute. It's a good aesthetic, and it's also a very comfy aesthetic, and I do love to be comfortable. It's like my favorite thing is to be comfortable. Shall I give these two little lassies anything else for their little peek-a-neek? No, I think that'll probably do. They've got some I will give them a couple of little cuppies for their lemonade. There we go. Okay. Okay, now I think I've given them enough stuff for their little picnic. Mostly they're having a picnic just so they can sit out on the grass and hold hands, let's be real. Which, I love that for them. I think that's delightful. Anywho, okay. Alright. And okay, and alright. Sippage. Okay, I guess I can actually do a bit of painting. I'm gonna suggest a picnic to my partner, says Pigeon. That's a great idea. You should definitely do it, especially if the weather's nice. Picnic food is always so lovely. I love a good bit of picnic food. So cozy. I have been known when the weather is bad to just have a meal that I call picnic at home. That's just all the bits that we would have for a picnic. We just have them in the house. I'm normal. Katie says the individual in the secret pants went cycling before the picnic to get the fresh flowers or something. It's funny you should mention that, Katie. Because I need you to know that the first painting I ever did of these two little lovebirds was, oh geez, I think my app has refreshed itself. No. I have to go looking for it in my photo reel again. This shouldn't take too long. Bear with. Dooba 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 doo doo doo. Deedly dee. La dee dee da. It's... Okay, maybe this will take a minute. Oh, geez, where did they go? Heck. Okay, I've got a lot of Tomodachi Life screenshots. That's very helpful. I've got my entire 2-week trip to Canada. Yep. That was a very nice time. I enjoyed it. I got a whole bunch of film photos back from that today. Excitingly. I need to go scrutinize the negatives, because something went a little bit weird with one of the rolls of film, and I just want to see how the negatives actually turned out with that, because it was very strange. But anyways, okay. This is the OG sapphic hamster painting. They're riding a bicycle. Anyways, we have a really nice park not too far away too, says Pigeon. Ooh, that sounds so nice. That sounds so nice. Love that for you. You should definitely do it. Will you take extra pants in secret, says Rex? We will definitely both take secret pants. Can someone digitally hold my hand? I just need to take my meds forgot earlier here. Yes. Hands are being held. There are some held hands in the chat as well. So, you got this. Everything's okay. It's okay that you forgore because you remembered, and that means that you can do it now, which is really, really good. So, yay! Congrats on remembering to do it. Consider your hands held. Okay, cool. These guys, I had a train of thought. It has fully gone for a wander. So I don't remember. I don't remember what my train of thought was. Ah, shoot. Oh no. What was them? Also, I still have all of my blobs of gouache from this piece, which I haven't actually finished. I've just put on hold because it's so many tiny fiddly bits that it was kind of breaking my brain, and I was really struggling. I think especially because it was really hot last week, I was just really struggling to think through what I was trying to do, and so I just needed to take a break from the piece before I go back and finish it. Which is why we're doing something else this day. Okay. To which end I don't have a lot of space on this palette to actually work, because I just haven't like wiped all of those paints off, because I'm like, well, I'm gonna come back to them. Which is extremely silly form on my part, but whatever. Whatever. Just making a nice little blue with our, in case you missed it earlier, our Pastel Shades palette, which is most of what I will probably be using today. Maybe I'll throw in a little bit of the sort of frog and toad vibe, but mostly I think I want soft pastel. But the frog and toad paints are fun. I just call them frog and toad because the vibe of them is very kind of brownish, and when I think frog and toad, I think brownish. Brown and green. It's a jab, so it pinches. Oh, geez. Well, I'm very proud of you that you did it. Rex says, here's some good vibes. The part I'm working on is measuring consistently to 0.12345 inches in diameter. Oh, that is so satisfying. I love that for you. Absolutely wonderful. Heck yeah, my friend. Love it. You love to see it. And you love to see that it's only an hour and 36 minutes into stream and I'm already painting a color. Should I feel proud? I do, kind of. So, fine. Anyways, what's everybody else been up to this week? How are you doing? I hope that you're doing well. I hope that you're having nice times. I hope your voice isn't breaking like a teenaged boy like mine apparently wants to right now for some reason. I have just taken a tissue. And I think this is drying quite quickly, so I don't know whether or not I'm going to be able to blot out any good cloud shapes here, actually. I think it's dried too quickly for me to blot out cloud shapes. Oh no. If I just re-wet it slightly so I can. Will that work? I don't know. I'm attempting because I think it would be nice to have some little fluffy clouds up here. Okay, well, it's just kind of a messy sky more than anything at this point, but whatever. Honestly, I think that's probably fine. Anyway, what else do I have to report? I updated my shop yesterday. I don't think I've reported on that in a bit, or I did at the very top of stream, but folks may have missed it. I updated my shop. I just added a couple of bits in case you are curious. I can show you in case you're curious, because I think I have the very things right here. Katie says, my desktop is determined to be a technological toddler today. Oh no, I'm sorry. Is it having a technological tantrum? I'm so sorry to hear that. Yeah. Oh dear. I hope it's not too bothersome. Anyways, here's the thing that I put in my shop. It is this painting that is of Copenhagen with a couple little guys in it. I like this piece and I hope you like it too. The other art print that I have added is, you may recognize this because I painted it on stream. It is a goblin riding the goblin. I realize that, you know, some of these are kind of deep cuts. It's like, do you care about public transit? Maybe not. I don't know. But I do, therefore I wanted to paint it. It's a goblin, and they are riding the goblin, which is the Gospel Oak to Barking line in London. This will become relevant in, like, a couple weeks when my new YouTube video drops. It's a little early. Love the goblin on the train, says Pigeon. Oh, thank you. And Advent, thank you very much for the lurk as well. And just in time for Pride Month, it's Jads. Yay! I put some pretty stripes in the background. Just I thought the colors were pretty. I thought it would be nice to. I thought it went nicely with her and her whole deal. And then also just because I love him, he loves you and he can see that you're trying your best and he wants you to hang in there. Okay. Okay. Good. Anyways, we love Jad, says Pigeon. We do love Jad. She's great, and I love her very much, and I'm glad you do too. And thank you. But yeah, so that's it. That's my silly collection for the summer. I will have a larger collection for the fall. It's going to be somewhat literary in theme, which I hope will be a vibe. It's certainly a vibe to me, and I hope it is to you too. He is so precious and I love him, says Pigeon. Oh, Pigeon, thank you. Thank you for your kind words. I do appreciate it. I'm going to take another sip of my beverage. Yum, yum, delicious. Bonus airplane noise, says Katie. Hell yeah. There is... So, my city technically has an airport, but it's one of those... So... I swear anywhere within like a 500-mile radius of London gets the word London tacked on to the front of the name of the airport. Because now, bearing in mind, the city that I live in is about an hour and a half from London, right? Give or take, depending on what part of London you're trying to get to, obviously. And, our local airport, which I don't think really goes to or from that many destinations. I don't actually know if any commercial flights go in and out of that airport anymore. But it is called London Oxford Airport. It's not anywhere near London. What are they doing? You know? Like, I understand Heathrow Airport. Yes, you can get to it on, like, the London Underground. It is part of the London Underground network. You can get there via the Piccadilly line or the Elizabeth line. Fine, that's London. Gatwick, okay, yeah, sure. There is a train that goes direct from, like, Victoria Station in central London to Gatwick Airport. Okay, fine, it's London. And then, you know, like, London City Airport. It's literally in the middle of the city. Absolutely, 100%. Would not fly in or out of London City Airport. It scares me because flying in and out of Heathrow, here's your descent, you know, like, you've landed. Flying into London City Airport, here's your descent. It's just like straight down. Absolutely terrifying. Stuff of nightmares. Won't do it. The pilots do it every day. It's super normal. I will not be doing it. No, 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 no. Also, way faffier for me to get into the center of London to go to an airport than it is to get a bus that goes directly to Heathrow from, like, basically my neighborhood. But yeah, London Oxford Airport? Pfft, no. 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 That's so far. That's so far from London. There was an airport in Kent, in like Lydd in Kent, that they wanted to name London Lydd Airport. And I remember my friend who lives in Kent at the time was like, how did they get away calling this London? It's nowhere near London. That's closer to London than London Oxford Airport. It's nonsense. Absolute nonsense. You might as well call Birmingham Airport London Airport. In fact, maybe I do. I don't know. Pigeon says, save, the only time I've ever flown was out of London City and it was terrifying. I'm so sorry. I swear to you, any other airport is so much gentler when it comes to ascent and descent. But yeah. Advent says, I wish the American South had more trains we could ride. I wish for you that America, and in fact North America generally, had better rail connections. And I mean, the reasoning behind all this stuff dates back to, like, the automotive industry circa, like, millions of decades ago, like 100 years ago. The automotive industry was enough of a behemoth that they were just like, no, we're gonna design you know, places where people live around. People want cars. People are going to drive cars. We're going to design cities and suburbs and, you know, places generally around the assumption that people will have access to cars. Therefore, public transit, not that big of a deal. Because you've got all this wide open space so people can have big, you know, like driveways and cars and stuff. And we're building all of these big motorways to connect the country. So we can kind of neglect the rail infrastructure because everything is going by road. Which means that today you find yourself in a situation where there are legit so many, compared to like other countries that I've been to and lived in and yada yada yada, America, and to a certain extent parts of Canada as well, definitely. You are just at such a disadvantage if you are not a car driver or owner. I hate cars and I hate driving, says Advent. I don't want to drive at all, says Katie. I don't know how to drive. I would be so disenfranchised if I did not live somewhere that had reasonable public transit infrastructure in place. I mean, the city I live in has buses and that's it. Like we don't have any like trams, metro, light rail of any kind. I wish we did, but it's just, I don't know how we would set that up. I don't even have my license as that. Me neither. I never took my driving test. I didn't do any of that because I was just like, I know I don't want to. And I also know that like, just because of like having the self-awareness that I do now as like a middle-aged adult, I should not drive. I am too neurodivergent in ways that make me would be not a good driver. It's not so much that I don't trust my ability to drive, it's that I don't trust other people's ability to drive, and if someone else behaves in a way that is unpredictable, it's too likely to make my brain, like, blue screen and not act quickly enough, and end up getting rammed into by somebody else being a dumbass and, you know, like, not... like, pulling out of a car park when they're not supposed to or something, and I end up getting hit. So no, pass, 100% scares me. But yeah, we got one thing right, says Rex. Just about every major city was built on a waterway for boats. Boats, good. Love a good pier situation. Love docks and stuff. That's delightful. But I do like driving, and I am part of the problem. Florida, 22 hours drive. Why would I fly? And you know what? I love that it works for you. I really do. There are definitely, I mean, there are lots of people who love to drive, and I think that's great. It's one of those things that, like, feels very foreign to me now, living in a very small landmass, as I do. The idea of driving anywhere where the drive takes more than 3 hours is like, that's too far. Must train or fly. Whereas, you know, back when we lived in the old country, that's like, yeah, you know, whatever. It was yeah, you know, whatever, because everything is so far apart. The sense of geographic scale that you have really varies depending on the size of the landmass you live on. I love boats and I love swimming, says Advent. Oh man, I love swimming so much. If I could be a mermaid, I would love to. Katie says, the amount of energy I would need to be behind the wheel, I'd be unable to do anything else for the rest of the day, maybe several days afterwards. You should not be driving. Absolutely not. And you should not be expected to need to drive. It's one of those things that, I've talked about this on stream before, but it just frustrates me so much. It's one of those situations where, like, I think there's a lot of places, you know, globally, but certainly I feel like this is the case in North America, where you have places where people are used to having to drive, so most people will drive, or, you know, have, like, be able to get a ride that way, or just, you know, or the people who do have to suffer through, like, the terrible public transit setup that you've got, you know, like a bus that runs twice a day or something like that, are just kind of screwed and have to deal with a bus that runs twice a day, right? And have to plan their life around that. Meanwhile, you know, you say, hey, like, the public transit situation in the city is really bad. We should look at improving it. And it's like, yeah, that's great, but no one uses it, so why would we want to fund it if no one is using it? But it's like, maybe more people would use it if it was good. But the answer is often like, well, ridership is really low, so we're going to not try and fund it to make it any better because no one uses it. But the reason that no one uses it is that it's bad. If you invest more money in the public transit, then people will want to use the public transit. Wow. Anyways. Rex says, everything considered in America is quite beautiful and I like driving and seeing the scenery change. Ha. I like sitting and watching the scenery go by and not have to worry about whether or not, like, a hedgehog has run into the road. Build it and they will come, says Katie. Yes, exactly, yes. It's very frustrating to me when it feels like the non-use of public transit becomes like a self-fulfilling prophecy, because they're like, okay, you know what? We'll give you another bus line, but we're only going to run one bus every hour, and it's going to be via a circuitous route that takes a really, really long time through areas that don't really need to be served at all. So no one uses the bus route because it was poorly planned and not frequent enough. So no one needs to change their habits at that point. It fails, and they shut it down after 6 months because no one's using it because they planned something that was bad. Ah! Anyways, that's my ah! I experienced some pretty decent public transit when I was in London recently. I like the Elizabeth line. It is very useful for if you're traveling a distance. It's one of those things where it does fewer stops than some of the other services. But if you happen to be going between, say, like, you know, Bond Street and Custom House, it's great because it gets you way faster than anything else would have. And also it is air conditioned, so it is one of the more comfortable trains to be on. And I like it for that. But I also spent a good amount of time on the DLR. I like the DLR. I like the color scheme of it. The color scheme of it, in case you don't know, is kind of this color right here, this kind of like tealy turquoise situation, which I think is a really pretty color. And also, because of the way that the trains are set up, you can sit at the very front and see out the front window and pretend you're the driver, which I enjoy. Because I'm normal. I didn't do that this trip. I also, you know, like, I do enjoy doing that, but I will say I'm over 40, and if I see someone get on the train with a small child, I will remove myself from the very front seats, because I want the small child to have the very front seats, because I'm not going to rob them of whimsy because I'm a responsible, normal adult. And I think they deserve the whimsy. I love the Lizzie line. DLR is fun too, says Pigeon. Hell yes, absolutely, 100%. Rex says, paper straws will help the environment. Yeah! Build straws from newsprint. They dissolve. What do you mean everyone hates them? Oh, the paper straw nightmare. It's not super bad if I'm drinking something like an iced latte and I can get through it fairly quickly. But anytime I get sort of like a blended drink, like a milkshakey, frappe-y type thing, it just dissolves it. Like, I can't, it's just gone. Or like when you get the cuppies that have the little like cut out bit in the middle that you put the straw into, and inevitably enough pressure from the little plastic prongs that are holding the straw in pressing against it means that like that becomes a point at which like it becomes weak and like bends and sometimes breaks. And I can't stand the paper on my lips, says Pigeon. Yeah, it's not good. It's not good at all. It's really unfortunate. And I think the worst part of it for me, when that whole like plastic straw ban came in, the paper straw discourse thing, was just the sheer unwillingness you know, sort of like the people who were like, yay, we're making the environment better by tackling this one tiny thing that doesn't actually make really that much difference in terms of emissions. There are much bigger changes that we could be making, but we're gonna single this one out to make it look like we're doing something good, even though the impact is minuscule. Is the outright just absolute insistence upon ignoring everyone who was like a disabled person or an advocate for disabled people, saying that like there are people with disabilities who are going to need to use non-paper straws because of their disability. They need these to swallow beverages, which they need to live. They can't use paper straws. It's not safe. Please let them continue to be alive. And no, the like reusable straws. Reusable straws are such a freaking faff, in my opinion. They're so hard to clean. They're so hard to keep clean. You know, like if they work for you, then amazing, but I cannot get on side with them. Some paper straws give me a weird texture reaction, says Katie. I'd rather skip the straw in that case, to be honest. I'm a fan of metal straws, says Advin. Good, I'm glad. Some are bad, some are good, says Rex. The companies that didn't want to stop making plastic straws made the bad ones to make an example of them. That's wild, and I'm honestly not surprised. I do feel like they've gotten better in terms of quality, or at least the ones I've experienced have gotten better in terms of quality, or at least coffee shops are buying better quality ones. I'm not sure, but they do seem kind of better recently. But for a while, they were just shocking. Yeah, Pigeon says, we have wide metal straws that a little brush can fit down so we can clean them easy peasy. Good. Katie says, absolutely. Medical settings prefer single-use plastic because it's easier to manage cross-contamination stuff. Absolutely. I mean, I fully am on side with, like, things. If something is difficult to clean and keep, like, properly sanitized in a medical setting, it's not safe. So if it has to be a single use, then it has to be a single use. And that's unfortunate, but so it goes. You know, same with, like, you know, surgical gloves. You don't want to reuse those because, again, safety, hygiene, it's important. Anyways. But I'm also here for you know, like keeping things as waste reduction as possible. 100%. But the cleanest industry make the most waste. Says Rex, like medical, an interesting fun fact. Yeah, indeed. It is one of those challenging things because, like, I don't know. I just think that for me personally, I am here for reducing the amount of waste I produce wherever possible, but also I recognize that it is effectively impossible to be completely zero waste, and that's okay. I am not a big like reusable water bottles when I go out person. Evan says I just dropped most of my avocado. Oh no, I'm so sorry. I hope you might be able to salvage some of it, but if not, I'm just really, really sorry to hear that. That sucks. Oh no. But yeah, I try and be as like low waste to zero waste as possible, but just also mindful of the fact that just based on like what's available to me in the realm that I am able to actually affect change is fairly minimal, and there are some circumstances where I can't not create waste. Like, the supermarkets around me here in the UK, it is really, there is a lot of fruit and vegetables that I think could have less to no packaging, that come in plastic bags, and I do try and get things from like my local farm stand when I can, but I can't always, and they don't always have the things that I need. So sometimes, you know, I have to buy the plastic punnet of raspberries and the plastic bag of frozen peas and just be okay with that fact. Because it's not possible for me to get rid of all of those things without just choosing not to eat food, which I also can't choose not to eat food, you know? But yeah, anyways. Rex says, cleaning straws is too hard, I agree. I prefer no straw when I can, otherwise I'll go with whatever is available and not really complain what it's made of. Yeah, mood. I, honestly, a lot of the time, if I'm having, like, an iced coffee or something, I'm happy to just not, especially if I'm, like, sitting in a cafe, I'm happy to just not have a straw. I can just drink out of the glass that it's in, like, that's fine. But, you don't see it that often here, like, takeaway cups for iced drinks that just have, like, a little opening like the hot drinks do. I would rather they did that more. Because, yeah, at that point, I don't really need a straw. But, so it goes. It's just a good example of making a bad solution to make the problem seem like not a problem. Yeah! Very much so, Rex. Katie says, the worst thing certain companies / billionaires do is convince everyone else that it's the individual's fault that climate change is the thing. Yes, 100%, absolutely yes. As much as I think as individuals, as consumers, as people who exist in the world, we should do as much as we can to make the best choices we can, we also have to be aware of the fact that we exist within a system where oftentimes the choices that we would like to make are not accessible to us. And, you know, that is because big companies suck. And or like governments are prioritizing the wrong things or whatever. And again, we can do what we can with regard to, like, you know, petitions, voting, boycotting companies that actively suck super hard if we can. But ultimately, you can't beat yourself up for not being ideologically perfect in these circumstances. You're doing your best. We're all just little animals doing our best. Okay, it's break time. So, I'll be back in a minute, BRB. You know, when you are walking back with a very full cup of tea and you are super focused on, like, okay, I've got to be careful, I don't want to spill, I don't want to dribble. And so naturally you do. It's like, probably if you had just been a little bit more cavalier about it, it would have been fine, but no. Here we are. Anyways, I have a delicious iced lemon tea. And I'm very excited about that. Checking in with chat. See what I missed while we were on break. Rex says, it makes me wonder how electric vehicles survived when our first example of how to fix car pollution was a Nissan that cost as much as a BMW and could drive 50 miles at most. I guess I feel like they were something of a status symbol in the first instance for some folks, and then also they've just hopefully gotten better. I'm glad they did, because 15 years later, the latest Leaf will go over 300 miles for less than half the cost, which is useful. Yes, absolutely yes. 100%. I do remember my uncle, my beloved uncle, I missed him very much, was the first person I knew to own an electric vehicle. It was what was the name of the Toyota electric car? You know the one. It was very notable because it was like one of the first big popular EVs. I don't remember the name of it. Oh no. The Insight? No, it was like a made up word. It was like a made up word of some description. It was the oh, I don't know. Anyways, BZ4X. No, it was like a word though. In any case, what I do remember is that the license plate on my uncle's car was the last 3 letters were YEX. And I remember this because my cousin George was like, Yex! That sounds like the word for yucky sex. And I was like, why would you say that? Why would you say that? I can't unthink that now. Ew. Can't think of anything between the, this was a RAV4 EV. It was not a RAV4. It was just a car. Don't remember. Anyways. It seemed fine. Actually, thinking of it, it might have been hybrid rather than fully EV. So it might have been a Prius. Anyways, but the license plate was Yikes. Which sounds like yikes, honestly. It just sounds like yikes. Oh no. Okay, I'm gonna add some green to my paint. And I'm going to paint in a nice little green hill back here. But a slightly more subdued green, I think. I'm just gonna mix like 5 different paints together until I get something that feels like an appropriate green for that there hill back there. Yeah, that feels like an appropriate green for that there hill back there. It just reads as kind of brownish gray on camera, but I promise you it's a nice, soft, subtle green. I swear to you it is. Trust me. Anyways. The Insight was a Honda. Oh, okay. Yeah. Prius is the hybrid line. Okay, yeah. So it was a hybrid. Which makes sense, because it was also... Geez, was I a university student? Probably not far off. It was a long time ago. My uncle was a cool dude. He was like the one member of his family who would be up at like, if they were so they lived near Montreal in Quebec, and the rest of the family of like that side of my side of the family lived in southern Ontario, like a 7-hour drive away. And this family would just like pack up in the car, drive down to visit us on like the Saturday morning, be there in time for like dinner, stay overnight, have breakfast, and then drive back at like lunch the next day. And I'm just like, that's crazy. You spent more time driving than you did visiting. I'm glad they did though, because I love my cousins and I loved getting to see them. Yeah, woof. Anyways. But having also stayed with them on many occasions, I remember okay, it's 5 a.m. and my Uncle Lutzy is up and he's like, all right, everybody, let's go. And everyone else is like, no, papa, je fatigué. Because, of course, they're French, so they would say all this en français. Yes. Rex is lurking because work is done. Yay, I'm so glad that your work is done. That slaps for you. Hell yeah. We're probably not going to continue on too much longer here anyways, but I will attempt to squeeze a little bit more paint onto these there hills if I can, without lifting the paint that I've already put down. That's one of the things about this these pastel paints, is that they really want to lift. They don't always want to play well with like layering. They want to lift if you apply another layer of the thems, which can be a bit of a struggle, because sometimes I do want to build color a little bit and I don't always have the values right in the first instance. Sometimes I need to kind of build it up. And this isn't always the most buildable, because it kind of wants to just fall off again. But I would like this to be subdued but a little bit darker in the back here. Just so it feels like it's a little bit further away, you know. Anyways, yes, Katie says, Uncle on the move and everyone else is barely crawling out of bed. Oh my god, LOL. Yep. Y'all can sleep in the car on the ride to see your cousins, dang it. Yup, exactly. And I'm sure they did. I don't know about y'all, but I had the kind of, now this is speaking of like my family now, like my sort of immediate family. But, you know, there was something I always found very special about, like, when you're driving a distance and you go past, like, motorway service stations and that kind of thing, and you see, ooh, there's some, come on, words. Use your words, Kelsh, come on. You go past a motorway services and there's, like, a Wendy's and a Tim Hortons and something else in there, and you're like, oh, man, I want to stop and get, like, a drink and a snack, and wouldn't that be special and fun? And no, your parents packed lukewarm sandwiches that you don't like and bottles of water at home, which are now also room temperature, and the car's really hot and they've been sitting in the sun and it's basically drinking hot water and you find it deeply unpleasant and gross. But no, you cannot get a bagel, you know, like that is my experience growing up, is that we go to, if we do stop at motorway services on a big drive, my parents have packed food. I'm like, no. But I wanted to get a bagel or, like, you know, chips or something. But no, never. It's always the pre-packed sandwiches that you don't like and warm water. Yay. Struggles. Advent says, when I was younger, I was always asking, this shop is in the middle of nowhere with no houses remotely near. Who would work here? You know what? I've wondered that same thing myself. I guess people who don't mind a bit of a drive to work. I guess it's just people who don't mind a bit of a drive to work. But then on the other hand, there probably, in a lot of cases, there probably are places nearby or nearer by that you just don't see from the motorway. So you don't realize that actually, like, if you just take this exit that looks like it just goes into a forest, there's actually, like, a whole town there. The only thing they couldn't pack is a toilet, says Katie. Yup. I do. There were a few occasions when I was very young with my sibling and I where, well, we are nowhere near motorway services and there's a significant amount of drive to go. So just by the side of the road, the horrors, not my idea of a good time. Yeah. Anyways. Shall I make a slightly more springtimey, a slightly sprightlier green for this foregrounded hill? I do believe I shall. I'm gonna pick up some yellow and then some of this turquoise green and try and formulate a nice sort of springish green between the two. And then I'm gonna add a little bit of this frog and toad green as well. I guess the green is frog, the brownish is toad, I think, of the two of them. One of my favorite accounts that I follow on social media is Frog and Toad Bot. It just brings you passages from the Frog and Toad books several times a day and illustrations, and it is absolutely delightful. I love it very much. It's a good time. Anywho, what time is it? Okay, it's 7. I'm gonna finish this hill and then probably call it a day there. I hope that's okay. We will start doing the smaller things and little details and what have you next time. Like this little cottage that they live in up here. And their little picnic foods and their little outfits and yada yada yada. And obviously all of the little violets on the grass. Because because we are not above using extremely heavy-handed sapphic symbolism here. I want there to be no mistake that these two are, in fact, roommates. Wink wonk. It was suggested that I could just name one of them Violet, and then I was like, oh, what shall I name the other one to just really hammer people over the head with the symbolism? Ah, yes, this is her best friend, Scissor. Anyways. Happy Pride Month. Violets after Pride Month. Listen, it's, as far as I'm concerned, it's Pride Month Boxing Month. It's Pride Month 2.0. I was too heat-waved and too tired to do as much as I wanted to for Pride Month, and I'm not gonna stop doing... like, queer stuff just because it is technically July. Tough biscuits. These hamsters are still the very best of friends. And they always will be. You know, I'm sure there's nothing to be read into in their letters to each other where they describe how they ache for one another when they're apart, and how, you know, oh, she is half my soul. Our hearts are intertwined. I'm sure they're just very good friends. Don't worry about it. Anyways. Sorry, I got quiet there because I was concentrating a bit. I'll be back tomorrow doing some, in the morning, doing a little bit of skonging, if that's your bag. I haven't skonged in a few days, and I'm a little bit worried that I've forgotten how to do it, but I am in a fun area of the game that is proving to be challenging, and I'm not super good at it, so that'll be fun. Yay! Yippee skippy. And if I finish that, we've got a couple of quests that we need to do as well, so hopefully it'll be a good time. I'm leaving some of the weird paint texture going on here because I think it'll be fun. July's Disability Pride Month, and the overlap between the LGBT and disability communities is fairly high. Hello, I'm in that large peach pit at the center of the Venn diagram, so hell yeah. I should do some more overtly disability-related artwork later this month, and indeed I'm sure I shall. I've got some ideas are germinating as we speak, so that'll be good, I hope. Anyways, I think I'm gonna call it here for today. I think I've done... Listen, this is pretty good going for a first stream of this, considering that all I had earlier was two undressed sapphic hamsters. I'm feeling pretty good about that. And happy Disability Pride Month to all y'all, especially my fellow disability havers. I see you, I love you, you're doing amazing. And I hope that you are able to soon unlock the double jump feature, which I'm told that we are supposed to get this month. Anyways, but yes, shall I see if I can find somebody for us to do a little raid on? I think that'd be nice. And I would like to thank you all so much for hanging out with me today. Thank you again to Toto for the raid. I very much appreciate it. And let me take a little look-see and see who's online who we might do a little raid on. Perhaps someone we have not said hello to in a little bit, who's doing something fun. Let me take a look and see who needs a raid. Who hasn't had a raid in a little bit? Oh, you know what? Okay, it says that... Let me just check, because I think they've been live for quite a while. But if they are still live... It might be lying to me, because I can't find them online. No! Maybe they just finished. I don't know. Let me try again. Weird. Okay. Maybe they've got raids switched off. I don't know. Anyways, well, never mind that. I tried. Okay. I think this person will still be live. Anyways, thank you again for hanging out with me today. I'm having a nice time. I hope you had a nice time too. And yeah. I'll be, as I said, I'm going to be back tomorrow morning doing a little bit of a scong. If that's something that you might be into, then I hope you will enjoy it. Okay, I think that other person that I was trying to raid literally just went offline, so hopefully... Yay! She is. Okay. Let's go say hi to Jenga, who is definitely actually alive. And thank you again for hanging out with me today. It's been very fun. Let's get a generic raid message in the chat. I will pop some little ananas popping in here to say hello. If you have the emotes, feel free to grab the raid message with the emotes. If you don't have the emotes, you could just say generic raid message and append any cool emotes that you do have. It's all good. As I said, I'll be back tomorrow morning. Thank you so much for hanging out with me and these two lovely hamsters. I think we're just about figuring out what their names are going to be, and I'm very excited for that. But yeah, in the meantime, I hope you have a lovely evening. And thank you so much for watching and hanging out with me today. I've had a really, really nice time. Jenga's lovely. You're going to enjoy hanging out with her as well. But thank you for watching, and have a lovely, lovely rest of your Thursday. Good night, and good luck.